perfect. This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, and the stories that leads today's show are as follows. UFOs and the DOD. And we have our own little story to add to that. Facebook, putting someone on snooze. It's a beautiful new feature. We're going to talk about Santa trackers because every parent needs that in the coming week. We're going to talk about Uber overseas and is it safe? And we're going to talk about something that's even more concerning for those of us that are iOS users with a little bit older Apple phones. Is Apple slowing down phones based on battery age? All the news of the day, plus a lot more. I want to welcome you to episode 1248 of the Geek News Central podcast for Monday, December 18th. The show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider or simply paypal.me/geeknews. Of course, got a great show lined up for you. I want to welcome all the longtime listeners of the show. Thanks for being here. Thanks if you're brand new as well. We want to make sure that you take time and get connected with the show. This is the most important thing you can do as a podcast listener is subscribe. And we're finding that out via the podcast stats on how many of you have actually subscribed that Apple just started reporting. But we're not going to talk about that. I covered that this past Saturday. But again, if you're a brand new listener, all you got to do is get over to geeknewscentral.com. Right on the right-hand column of the website, subscribe via Apple Podcast on Android, via email, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, whatever your media consumption poison is. There's a place there to listen to this show. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, click on the more subscribe options or just use the RSS feed that powers this podcast. And you can get subscribed. If you scroll down a little bit on the website, you'll find a link for the newsletter. We want you to get hooked up with the newsletter as well. The newsletter contains everything I'm going to talk about during the show today. So it's important that you get that email with all the links for prosperity. Prosperity, is that right? That's not the right word. Forevermore. Yeah, I can't talk. So we'll chalk that one up as a Toddism. But if you have comments, you can tweet me at Geek News. That's a great way to reach out, or you can email me, geeknews@gmail.com. You can join our Slack channel by sending an email and say, hey, Todd, I want to be part of the Slack Ohana, and join our Slack chat channel and join us there. So drop me an email on that. You can follow me on Google Plus or Facebook. Of course, you can watch this show on the Roku via the Tech Podcast channel, on the Apple TV via the Geek News Central video feed. You can listen on Amazon Echo by telling that device to play the latest edition of the Geek News Central podcast. You can listen on Stitcher, watch review at blueberry.com, or tell the Google Home device to play the podcast Geek News Central. If you have a Microsoft Cortana device, or even on your Windows machine, just tell it to play Geek News Central. If you have TuneIn linked up, and you'll get the show. All right. So lots of ways to listen. Partner shows include No Better Than Average with Jacob and Jeff. Of course, the Gadget Professor, Mr. Don Bain, at thegadgetprofessor.com. You've got the Pro Gear site at progear.guru. All of these links are available via the top of the website at geeknewscentral.com. Of course, we've got the new media show that I co-host with Rob Greenlee, and of course, the podcast Legends show. All right, this show, of course, is sponsored in part by our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. I tell you, GoDaddy keeps the lights on, keeps things moving here, keeps my family fed, keeps insurance on the car, and everything else that's needed to allow me to continue to be a podcaster. So support the sponsor by using the promo codes. And all the promo codes are available at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. That's where you go to save money. It's where you send your friends to save money on domains, hosting accounts, whether it be a business owner looking for a website builder. You can get 30% off new product purchases. You can get a .com one time only for 99 cents, a new or transfer. Although we heard someone had a problem on a transfer recently. So let me know if you have any issues with that code. Of course, we got $1 a month economy hosting with a free domain. That's $12 for the first year. with a free domain. So you're getting an $8.49 domain name and hosting for the remaining amount of money, like $3, $3.50, something like that for a whole year. Can't beat that. Of course, $1 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year also includes a free domain. Then we've got the GoDaddy website builder 1 month free trial, your choice of personal business or business plus plans. We want you to support the sponsor and make sure you tell your friends, neighbors, everyone about the codes. Don't write it on the bathroom wall. That wouldn't be cool, but we definitely want you to share the code when you can. And that helps the show out in a big, big way. And we thank all of you that do that on a regular basis. Okay, so I'm just about out of breath. I tell you, I'll be honest with you. Everything was set up. I was ready early today to do the show. And then all of a sudden, 2 of these new cameras said, hey, you need to activate me. And I'm like, huh? Activate a camera? I didn't know that was a requirement. So they didn't get activated, but I switched them over to a different mode and we're good to go. But I was thrown for a loop. And to be honest with you, when stuff like that happens, when everything is a well-oiled machine here, which it never is, things don't. And then I started knocking stuff over and couldn't find my headphones. And I was a sailor. I said a cuss word about 5 times. My wife is like, no swearing, no swearing. But sometimes you just have to do it. All right, everyone, thanks for being on board. If you're in the live stream, make sure you say hello. And Paul, there is no discount codes on renewals. My best advice to you is to join the domain club. And that is the cheapest way to get the best price on a domain on GoDaddy. Okay, they don't have renewal codes anymore for any product or service. So join the domain club. If you've got 100 domains, it's worth it. You're going to save the money. And also, Mike, as far as, and of course, those of you that are listening, I'm responding to stuff in the chat room. I've just been crushed. The Beacon project's working. I'm trying to get the dev together. It's slow. It's really, really slow. And but the beacons are working fine. Really, actually, I turned someone on to them the other day, and they're actually ordering some as well. But anyway, let me just talk a little bit here. There's a big story about this already in the show tonight, but I just those of you that have been listening for a long time, this is not a new story. For those of you that have been here for many years, you've heard my UFO stories. But let me just preface this with what this is all about. A story broke that the DoD has been essentially for a number of years, since 2007, they've been looking at UFO evidence and interviewing air crews and military people that have seen or been witness to something that was a little bit weird. And it was known as the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP. The military has to have their acronyms, right? And again, it was launched by the DoD in 2007 on the behest of some funding that came in from Senator Harry Reid. And it operated with an annual budget of $22 million from 2008 to 2011. That's $22 million for little itty bitty programs, a huge amount of money. When people are scrapping over dollars, it's big. Now, Pentagon officials revealed that the program existed, but added that it ceased to operate in 2012 and didn't get a lot of information, just was doing a lot of collection of stories and so forth. Well, you guys remember I've told you 2 UFO stories, and I think we should start at the beginning to set the stage here. And again, the dates are not the first set of dates, the first thing I saw was when I was 12 or 13. And basically, the story goes on a warm summer night. We were coming back to my home from town, and the town that was closest to my home, the biggest town, had about 12,000 people at the time. That was a big town, right? So there was not a lot of light pollution. And we were probably 2.5, 3 miles out of town. And the road specifically that we had just turned onto was Fremont Road. And my dad was driving, and we had one of those old Chryslers, had the massive back seats. Again, I'm 12, maybe 13, maybe. I'm sitting in the passenger, basically the right rear seat. My sister's sitting on the left, my mom's sitting shotgun, and my dad's driving. And we had no more than made that turn. And along that road, it's really kind of known for these rows of these beautiful maple trees. And at the time, of course, this is, 40 years ago, those trees weren't as big as they are today. And you could see from the car, you could see through people's properties, and you could easily see the skyline. And my dad all of a sudden just kind of like stops, or really the car slows. This is a road that's like people are driving 70 on it. And he just like brings it down to a crawl, because off to the left we see, and the best way to describe it is, any of you have seen a fuel tank? It was black, had lights on it, but it was pretty big, long, and basically round. It looked like a floating fuel tank, big one. And again, nice summer night. We didn't have AC. Our cars didn't have AC back then. Not a sound, not a whoop, 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 whoop from a helicopter, nothing. This thing paralleled us a little bit. So my dad must have been driving a little bit. And then it just kind of stopped, pivoted, did a 90, crossed over the top of us, and over on this side of the road, on the west side of the road, because we're on the north side of the road, on the west side of the road is a big field. Nothing there. There's really not a lot out there, some crops or whatever. And about the time this thing crossed over, and it wasn't far, I remember like sticking my head out and seeing this thing, right? And it crossed over, then it did another 90. And about that time, I think my dad freaked out, and it kicked in that 8-cylinder, set us back in the seat, and he's time to depart the area, right? And it kept pace with us. And I remember as a kid just looking out the window, totally bamboozled by this thing. And it was like, all of a sudden it's just, and it's dark. It's like 9 o'clock. It's not dusk or anything like that. But it's a clear night. And all of a sudden this thing just decides it's time to depart the pattern. And it was a typical, it was, literally 15, 20 seconds. It was gone. I think that I'm still traumatized by that night, having saw what I saw. We talked about, there was for a long time, when I got home, I was freaked. I was super freaked out. As freaked out as a kid could get. And again, in Michigan in the summertime, we had no AC in the house. The windows were all open. And I like made sure that the window was closed, and that there was a curtain. We didn't have, we had regular curtains. The curtains were pulled. I did not want anything looking in it. And I have a room on the second floor. I did not want anything looking in. I did not want to look out. I was weirded out for a long time. And we talked about it some. my grandmother had seen something in the 60s, had gotten some pictures of it was a classic UFO with the dome. And, God bless her soul, she was not one to tell stories in any way. And matter of fact, she had pictures in the safe for a number of years, which we mm, not ever been able to find. I don't know what she did with them. But anyway, so this is when I was a kid. Now, let me fast forward and post 9/11. Um, I was flying missions and combat missions, and I was with a crew. There was a number of team members that we flew with, and it was that's right after 9/11, I left for the desert, and about every 70 or so days, I would rotate home a little bit and then be gone. And again, I don't know how long this was later after 9/11, but there was still active combat operations going on in Afghanistan. And I do remember exactly where were, but I probably shouldn't go there. But anyway, one night, and it's like, I want to say like 2 a.m. And my friend, Eric Brown, who was running another system on the airplane, all of a sudden said, "What's that?" And we were able to observe an object that was below us that was doing something, doing maneuvers that weren't possible. Now, what's even more weird about this particular thing that we saw was it looked like an orb, and there really wasn't a lot of substance to it. And we had tape of this thing. We've tried to find those tapes in subsequent years, and those tapes were MIA. But there was a whole crew of guys that saw this thing for a significant amount of period, and there wasn't a one of us that could explain what it was. And this was not classic UFO; it was weird, and it was doing and making maneuvers in ways that was not possible. We tried to do the math, and the Mach number was off the chart, and it was just weird. And so that was my second thing that I saw, and I wasn't the only witness to it. I've got a lot of shipmates that got to see it, and they they we talk about it from time to time when we get together, but it's been many, many years. But here's this thing with the DoD. Do you want to believe? The government never stopped searching. They had concerns. They had national defense concerns, and they were more worried that the Chinese or the Russians or something someone else had gotten more advanced than us. And I know what I've saw twice. And the first thing, there's just no simple way to explain it. In no way whatsoever. The second one, oh my gosh, stop playing. Well, equally, I don't know how to explain it. And it was really, struck us all like, whoa. So it is what it is. I saw what I saw. And are we alone? Dun, 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 dun. So, anyway, for those of you that haven't heard the UFO stories, now you have, and you are enlightened. Again, it's an unidentified flying object. It doesn't mean it's alien, but if it is alien, why didn't you just say hello? Come on. Yes, or you checking on the farm? Are you checking on the anthill to make sure that the population is growing and getting fattened up, so we're ready for harvest or whatever the purpose may be, or waiting till we get to a certain point in our knowledge level before we are introduced to the galactic community. It is I'm a big sci-fi guy, so one can only hope, right? But things could go two different ways. You got someone that looking for a morsel, looking for a snack. We might be the snack, or you might, maybe they've gone beyond this. But we like to have war and kill each other. That's what humans do. So why would aliens be really any different? We don't, I doubt that they are. So anyway, what's your UFO story? I'd love to hear from you on this. So those of you that stayed up late, or those of you that joined and watched, now you've got the inside story. But yeah, the orb one was weird. That one was really, really weird. Now, something that is a true mystery. And let me make sure I've done all my notes here. Oh, just to update you guys, it's like sheer madness right now, the amount of people contacting me for CES. The PR firms, driving me nuts. We've talked about them already, but yeah, I'm booking appointments for our live broadcast stuff at CES, and I mean, it's right around the corner. I'm looking at the calendar, and I ship everything to Vegas the 29th. So we're 11 days away from shipping the gear to Vegas and being ready to rock and roll for our coverage that that basically starts the following 1 week after. But anyway, that's what's happening here. So I'm pretty deep in the weeds now, getting prepared for CES and all the content that's going to be produced. And then we're starting to have a lot more emails between the team members and so forth. But going back to the mystery that is going to be abounding across the planet here in about around 6 days or so, depending on where you're on the international date line, I want to let you know that the Google Santa Tracker has a countdown that shows you exactly how many days, hours, and minutes until Santa takes off. The website is set up something like an advent calendar with one inactive thing unlocked each day between, it started on December 1st. But, there's the NORAD Santa Tracker as well. And so there's lots of places for your young children and maybe some older children to track Santa forthcoming. So a link is up in the show notes on that. Of course, courtesy of Geek News Central, we've got an article up there that Jen put up so everyone can get prepped and be ready for the festivities. Have you got your Christmas shopping done? Are you ready? I vowed to try to finish my Christmas shopping this week. And actually, I needed something from Amazon, and I went online and they said, hey, you're not going to get it in time. So I was like, okay, cancel that. I can probably get that out in town. So at least here in Hawaii, based on how Amazon's been, it may be too late, especially when they don't offer the expedited shipping on some stuff, which irritates me. Facebook can be, we've talked about it a lot here recently about how some people can just absolutely trigger us. And, I use that word lightly. I'm having fun with it a little bit, but you can now temporarily snooze a Facebook friend that is being a little, annoying. So the snooze button enables you to temporarily unfollow someone without having to unfriend them, and their updates will start appearing again about 30 days after that. So, Facebook is all about friends, but we end up getting stuff. Sometimes friends lose their minds. And when they do, we can just, like in the regular world, in the real world, not the internet world, we just purposely don't call them or ignore their calls or don't text them, and we can take a break from them. So we can take a break from, everyone needs a break from someone sometimes, right? And just, usually it's not permanent breaks, but sometimes we just need a breather. So you can temporarily snooze your friends. I want to talk about Uber just a little bit. I used, when I went to Seattle, I used Lyft. As we've talked about on this show, I'm not real happy with some of the things that Uber has been doing lately. And I think Lyft is being a little bit better net citizen than Uber is. But an Uber driver has been said to confess to killing a British embassy worker. A Lebanese Uber driver basically said he killed her. And Rebecca Dykes was found strangled by the side of a main road near Beirut early on Saturday. And police arrested a man who immediately confessed the crime. We are horrified by this senseless act of violence, said an Uber spokesman in a statement. So this incident comes at the end of a year fraught with scandal and problems for Uber. But here's the bad part. It appears that this individual may have had some sort of a record before, and they did not maybe do enough of a background check on him. So I really want all of you, depending on where you're traveling to in the world, use your head, okay? I've never been to Lebanon at all. And if you're from Lebanon or have friends from Lebanon, I don't have a litmus test for this. But there are some countries where local transportation, taxi transportation, official businesses may be safer than Uber or Lyft in some of these countries. And in fact, in some countries, it might be safer to have your own rental car. I'm just a little bit surprised, and I don't know what the force protection level is because she was a government worker, probably held a diplomatic passport, that they would not have had some sort of policy on transportation in and around the city. I know that when I was active duty, we had very strict restrictions in some countries on how we transported ourselves. We knew who to stay, what companies to stay away from, what establishments to stay away from, all of that stuff. But this, just be smart when you're not at home and when you're someplace where you don't have a complete lay of the land. This is obviously a one-off, but I think we all have to use, and again, maybe the taxi service there is not safe either. I don't know. Again, I don't have ground truth for that. But there was definitely a driver that shouldn't have been driving. And it's too bad. It really, really is. But hopefully Uber gets their act together and is able to, hopefully they're able to get the background checks done on these folks. Mike's asking me in chat, he said, did you see Facebook is now punishing those who ask for shares and likes? Well, I didn't know that. That's interesting. So those, if there are people who are doing clickbait and so forth, I think there's something related I have in the stack tonight. I'll get to it. that talks about it a little bit, but it was more about videos, Mike. I didn't see anything on regular post. But one thing about having people like this particular video on Facebook, they don't know that I'm asking because I'm not writing it down. But who knows? Maybe. All right, this is the next thing that I'm a little bit, and I got too close to the mic there. Sorry for blowing you guys out. I'm getting a little bit irritated with. There's a benchmark information out. Well, basically, Business Insider has a post that says benchmark data suggests Apple is slowing down iPhones with old batteries. iPhone owners have discovered that replacing the battery in an old phone can boost its speed, suggesting that Apple is limiting processing speed on phones with older batteries. Benchmark data from Geekbench backs up that theory, according to the company's founders. It's basically they're discovering that after they're replacing a battery, the computer processor speed saw a noticeable increase in performance. So this could be looked at two different ways. Number one, the battery's performance wasn't as good, so Apple has purposely lowered performance in order to get more on airtime with it. Or number two, more sinister, slowed the phone down to help encourage you to go buy a new phone. They found that the benchmark distribution of iPhone 6, iPhone 6S, and iPhone 7 units running any version of iOS newer than 10.2.1 had multiple peaks, suggesting a software limitation was restricting some devices to a slower processor speed. Older phones had more pronounced peaks, and basically on where they scored performance-wise. Many believe that Apple introduced a change limit to performance when battery conditions decrease past a certain point. Apple has not responded to a request for comment so far. They surmise that his findings are the result of a software fix Apple released in February as part of the iOS 10.2.1 update. The update was a response to reports of older iPhones shutting down randomly with 30% battery life left. And reducing the iPhone's processor speed could have helped address the issue. So you got an older phone, run a little slow, battery's a little iffy. For about $100, you can get a new battery put in. So you may want to consider that. There's a device called the Amazon Echo Look, and it's only available by invitation. You can request the camera on Amazon's page. Now, what the Amazon Echo Look does, and it debuted in summer 2017, the online retailer billed it as a $200 smart speaker as a coach for people who care about clothing. And it basically has a camera in it, and you can get dressed, and the digital assistant and camera takes a full body selfie to capture what you're wearing and provide feedback to help you decide between two outfits. The Echo Look app doled out its fashion advice based on machine learning algorithms with advice from fashion specialists. On Monday, Amazon sent a note to Echo Look owners that the device app would connect to Amazon Spark, an Instagram-like social network Amazon created for its shoppers earlier this year, so that they could ask others what you should wear. So you can take a picture in one outfit, take a picture in another, and you can basically say what's the best outfit for movie night. And then people vote on which outfit you should wear. So it's a little weird to me. I guess, guys are simple, right? We don't have this problem. But if you've got a spouse or you've got a partner or a significant other, how many times have you hung out and seen them go through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 outfits before they decide on one? And of course, you're asked your opinion on each one, and you're like, "Oh, that looks great. Yeah, it looks great. Fantastic. Yeah, blue looks a little better than brown. Oh, yep, great. You never, you don't ever say it looks horrible on you. You don't ever use that FAT word unless you want to, be in the doghouse for the next 6 months. Yeah, it looks great, baby. Well, fantastic. Good. So I guess the ladies have finally figured out that we're all lying. And they're going to get other second opinions. In my house, my daughter says, "How's this look, Mom?" And my wife goes, "How's this look, Anna?" So, yeah. So anyway, you can have a camera now. You can share what you're wearing. I wonder how many people are going to be, does this nude look good, or does this nude look good? Oh, man, what will they think up next? Okay, over on Wired, they're talking about this blackout today at Atlanta, which caused Delta all kinds of issues. Any of you flying today? Were you flying on Delta? Were you flying through Atlanta? Did you get stuck? Oh, man. Why would an airport not have sufficient generator capacity to keep the airport up and running? It seems a little odd to me. It really does. I guess I don't get it. Why they wouldn't have been prepped and ready for a power outage. I guess maybe just the cost is too high, but it just basically brought things to a crawl there. They essentially were shut down. California basically today said you'd better be careful with your cell phone up and against your head. You might get cancer from it. I can't count on my hand the number of times people have joked about, their cell phone maybe giving them cancer. Now, let's be fair. There is RF, radio frequency energy, being transmitted outside of from your phone. Okay. But you're also, sitting in a world where there is radio frequencies passing through your body right now. You got Wi-Fi in your house? Okay. You have radio frequencies hitting you. Okay. Very small amounts, but there is, lots of RF in the air across the entire spectrum. If you ever got to looked at a spectrum analyzer and had a probe that was capable of looking at the frequency, you would be amazed at the amount of RF, the amount of radio frequencies in the air. Now, when you go to the dentist or the doctor and you need an X-ray, they hit you with some significant power, but just for an instant, right? Military aircraft working around tactical radar systems, there is it's like getting microwaved. If you are get too close to a radar that is transmitting, it's going to end badly. You're going to have you're going to get cooked just like being in a microwave. So phone radiation isn't like the radiation from a nuclear meltdown. And that's known as ionizing radiation. It's high energy and capable of damaging your DNA. But we have non-ionizing radiation that, quote unquote, doesn't damage the DNA. But the question remains whether it could over time, long-term exposure. So here's the deal. Fathers-to-be, or fathers that want to be, don't carry your cell phone around your pocket all day. Okay? If you go to work, take it out of your pocket and put it somewhere. If you're using your cell phone and you don't have earbuds, time to get some. Okay? Keep the phone away from your head. Keep the phone away from, important parts. And, it's not a health crisis, but just, use some long-term ongoing common sense. We all put our phones in our pockets from time to time, all right? Ladies put their phones in the purse, but fellas put your phone in your back pocket. Just don't remember to take it out before you sit down. So, but anyway, California is leading the pack saying, be careful with your cell phones. sometimes there's just absolutely products that come out that I fully don't understand how anyone, if actually someone actually buys these. But I guess if you're a Pikachu fan, and my daughter is, so I'm almost afraid to let her see this. But there's I can't pronounce it, it's horrible, Pikachu body pillow that you can buy. And this is something that's available for sale. Let me see what the price on this is. It's available for $75. It's available until January 16th. It measures 42 inches by 16 inches, and it has a body pillow. It's basically a body pillow. So if you want a Pikachu pillow, you can order one. 42 inches. Oh, it's just kind of funny. It really, really is. But anyway, there's something there for everyone. Product for everyone. A Dutch security firm recently fell victim to a well-executed attack that allowed hackers to take control of its servers to intercept client login credentials and confidential data. You know, you got to feel bad for any time anyone gets hacked. And when you're a security firm and you get hacked, it's just like, wow, even worse. But apparently they got access to an account and made changes to their domain name register and redirected people that were going to their portal for about 11 hours, capturing login information and all kinds of good stuff. So, but they basically hijacked, well, they really didn't hijack their DNS. They just got access to the account and made the changes. They couldn't have made it more easy. So they're in damage control. But yeah, whenever a hacker firm gets, a security firm gets hacked, it's big news. Twitter started enforcing new policies on violence, abuse, and hateful conduct. Matter of fact, it's had a round of removing people from the service over the last couple of days. But under Twitter's policy, specific threats of violence, death, or disease to an individual or group of people was already considered a violation. New rules will apply to accounts, including those that affiliate themselves with organizations that use or promote violence against civilians to further their cause. Twitter says it will require tweets that glorify violence or the perpetrators of a violent act to be removed, and will permanently suspend accounts that repeatedly violate this rule. There is one notable exception. The policy changes don't apply to military or government entities. Why would government and military entities get a pass? So, interesting move here. Well, anyway, Twitter's bringing the ban hammer. So be careful what you say. Lockheed Martin and Ariane are going to be develop a supersonic business jet. You know, supersonic air travel has been impossible for people since the Concorde was grounded. And so these two companies are working together to develop a supersonic jet for those who can afford to fly private. And wow, here's the deal. The rich and famous are rich and famous, and they spend their money in all kinds of ridiculous ways. But does it really make a difference if you are going between, let's say, New York and London to get there just a couple hours faster? Is it really that big of a deal? But anyway, they're working on a supersonic business jet. I can't even imagine how much flights on that would cost. But I would imagine that that would be a big check that 99.9% of us and in the world today would not be able to afford to be able to do. It would be cool to see where they come up with, and if they actually get it launched, if they can actually make money with it. It'll be fun to see that from a aviation standpoint, but I don't think I'll be getting a ride anytime soon. Facebook's government data requests continue to rise. Facebook released its biannual report on the details of data requests it gets from governments. And apparently the numbers are way, way, way up. Facebook says the request for account data has increased 21% across the globe as compared to the second half of 2016. More than half of those requests, 57%, came along with a non-disclosure order, basically a gag order, prohibiting Facebook from notifying the account holders of the request. This was up from 50% in the previous report. In addition, Facebook reports a huge increase in the number of content restrictions around violating local law. This massive spike in requests was mainly driven by law enforcement in Mexico, who asked that Facebook restrict a video depicting a January school shooting in Monterrey. So, as for intellectual property reports, Facebook says it received 224,000 copyright reports and 41,854 trademark reports and 14,279 counterfeit reports. So, not surprising that this is ongoing. So the president today unveiled its new national security strategy to focus on ensuring U.S. economic prosperity, defending the homeland, and posturing the nation to compete against rising technological powers. In the strategy, administration coins the phrase national security innovation base to describe a key asset to the United States must protect. The president's going to roll out the strategy, and we did today at the Ronald Reagan building. And according to a senior ministry official, they're all pretty excited about it. But just kind of follow some of the campaign stuff: protecting the homeland, protecting American prosperity, preserving peace through strength, and advanced American influence. So that goes into some details here. So if you're interested in that, link will be up in the show notes. This is actually an article on space.com of all places. If you want to watch cable TV shows online after you cut the cord, I got another article for you at makeuseof.com. There's a new list out, updated list you can check out. I have that for you. Thanks for Kirk for finding that, putting that together. Also, if you want to use a VPN, 7 tips on how to use a VPN as a boss, how to set up in your router, how to avoid free VPNs, how to pay annually to get better value, and so forth. So a link will be up in the show notes on that for you to check out, okay? Also, there's a really kind of cool thing. If you're in Columbus, and I was actually going to send a note to my team and tell them to go check this thing out. It's an art exhibit that is basically promoting the selfie. And it's a little weird, per se, but, selfies as public art but this guy made a display where, and you guys are going to get, this kind of reminds me of Second Life a little bit. But you basically you step into a booth, get a picture taken, and then they put you up on a screen that kind of has some interdimension to it. So it's kind of cool. It's a little odd, but I would love to have a picture of my face on this thing. I think it would be awesome to see a 14-foot 3D head of myself. Who wouldn't want to take a selfie of that with you in it, right? So if you live in Columbus, you can get down and check this out. Please do so. But I guess it is a little odd, but it's kind of cool. There's a report over by CNET saying that in a pilot program from Department of Homeland Security, they found that 32 of 33 apps that were being used by first responders have security and privacy problems. So the people that are trying to protect us, trying to respond to our challenges, whether it be police, ambulance, fire, that these apps had a large number of vulnerabilities in them, which in a national emergency, when someone was trying to do something, could cause chaos. So they've been advising these groups that they've got issues and helping them get them patched. But they've helped secure first responder apps after finding security flaws in almost every single one that they looked at. So don't you think first responder type of apps should have some extra scrutiny? I would think so, yeah. Are you a Hulu watcher? My son, he's on Hulu a lot. But there's a whole list of stuff that's going to be available in January. I'll have that link up in the show notes for you to check out. And of course, I've been a big fan here of my my Roomba and my iRobot, but they've been challenging competitors over alleged patent violations in an effort to hold on its market share. In April, it basically sued Black& Decker, Bissell, iLife, and Hoover, and they've had some settlements, but Black& Decker's agreed to stop selling its robotic vacuums for a certain period of time. So it looks like they've been partially successful, but they're not happy about it for sure. But competition is good. But if you have a patent and you really own it and it's being infringed, I support companies' rights to go after infringing companies. This is a funny story. An IT guy was checking security in his home router, and he realized he could survive security by limiting who got access to the Wi-Fi by lockdown MAC addresses. So he went around the house getting MAC addresses for every device and entered them into the router's address table for which devices to allow. And he noticed one MAC address accessing his router. Where's that coming from? That wasn't basically on his list. And so he blocked it. And I don't know why he had an open device. Maybe he just set up a guest account. Who knows? But he went outside, sat on his porch, and apparently his sister-in-law lives a couple houses up the street, was waving at him and had him come down there. And apparently their laptops quit. One of their laptops quit working, couldn't get on the internet. And they'd been mooching broadband from him for a while. And she was insistent that the internet was free. Why would you ever have to pay for the internet? Oh, Mike says that Chick-fil-A in Atlanta was open on Sunday because of the blackout. Do they normally close on Sunday? I don't know. Oh, okay. Or Mike's making comments about the vanity Amazon look product. I don't think I want to repeat some of those comments. But yes, it is a vanity product, Mike, for sure. All right. Amazon Prime Video, most first week downloads for the Apple TV, most ever. Prime Video has been a hit with Apple TV customers. And again, it had the most first week downloads of any app in the history of the Apple TV OS. So, do they give a number? They don't say, but good on them. Maybe make Apple think a little bit here. For those of you that are into fossils and that kind of stuff, the oldest fossil ever found showed that life on Earth began 3.5 billion years ago. Check this out. Researchers at UCLA and University of Wisconsin-Madison have confirmed that microscopic fossils discovered in nearly 3.5 billion year-old piece of rock in Western Australia are the oldest fossils ever found and indeed the earliest direct evidence of life on Earth. A microbe. Very, very cool. So, it's that's wow. It's a microfossil, what they're calling it. So I'm sure they're going to want to figure out more about that. 3.5 billion years ago. Toyota wants to sell more than 1 million electric cars by 2030. They're going to be launching at least 10 electric vehicles and fuel cell vehicles by 2025. And they're putting a big push on. They've been behind. And, they've got the Prius, but they're really they haven't been innovating. So apparently they're investing hard. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot more stuff from Toyota in the next couple of years. Ladies, here's the number: 1669 bad time. Okay, write that number down. 1669 BADTIME. If you call 1-866-9-BAD-TIME, you'll be greeted with a pre-recorded message asking you to leave your rants, screams, and exasperated sighs after the beep. The hotline is part of a project called For a Bad Time Call. It's a new podcast which encourages anyone who identifies as a woman to call up an anonymous event in its voice rage box. And then they're going to use those voicemails as fodder for their podcast. This is brilliant. This is really a brilliant idea. Whoever came up with this is smart. This thing's going to be big. It's going to be big, 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 big. I'm trying to figure out who did it. It launched what's the name of the lady that launched this? I'm not familiar with them, but I guess it's if you go for a bad time call. Oh, it's on Squarespace. Oh my God. For a bad time call.squarespace.com is where you can find it. Buy a domain for that thing. This is going to be a popular show. Tesla is prohibiting commercial drivers from using its supercharger station. So if you think you're going to buy Tesla and then drive for Uber and then go charge on the supercharger in your town, don't plan on it. They are going to block you. They're going to look at your driving usage patterns. And if they determine you look like you're a commercial driver, you're going to get banned. They say these drivers negatively impact the availability of supercharging services for others. So the new policy says that for vehicles purchased after December 15th, drivers who plan to use their vehicles as taxis for ride-sharing, commercial delivery, or transportation won't be permitted to use the free stations. Wow. Okay. Got to charge it yourself. All right, next thing up, we've got, if you ever want to get AirPods for Christmas, they're sold out. It won't be any more until January, all right? They were getting caught up. There's a new app called Rainbow, Rainbrow. It's an iPhone X game that you play with your eyebrows. You see this, so you raise your eyebrows to play the game with the camera turned on. Okay. Play this, please. Play this game in the airport or in public around someplace. I think that would be most entertaining. All right. I'm sorry for those of you that live in England, but I'm going to advise you here, especially if you live in Kent, England. I guess, let's say she's from Folkestone. I guess that's part of Kent. Okay, I don't know. If you're a relative with Deborah Parsons, do not go to Christmas at her place. A few months after her mother's funeral, Parsons received her ashes and one day decided to eat them. She now likes to have a taste of them most days. She says, I don't know what made me do it the first time. It was just an urge. I can't describe it. I opened the box and licked my fingers and just dipped them into the powder. Oh, hot. So she is going to be using some of the ashes in her turkey and Christmas pudding. While not a common practice in Western society, endo-cannibalism, the practice of eating one's relatives after death, has been conducted by small communities around the world through history. Parsons would surely find friends in the Yanomami tribe of the Amazon rainforest who also eat the ashes of their deceased as the final step of mourning. As for the tribe's opinion on using ashes as Christmas condiment, no explorer or scholar has thought to ask. someone get this lady a shrink. Okay. Oh my goodness. If we had like a big jingle here for the article of the day, this the weirdo article of the day, this would be it. Next thing you know, she's going to be scraping skin off herself and putting that in the food too. Here's an article on Facebook. Facebook will begin demoting engagement bait posts in news feeds. So scrolling through Facebook, the newsfeed, you probably come across posts telling you to like or comment if you share some sort of familiar sentiment. Like this if you're an Aries, or telling you to share it so you can earn a chance to win a prize. Well, you might start seeing a lot less of those types of posts because Facebook is now cracking down on engagement bait. They said, we will demote posts that go against one of our key news feed values, authenticity. We want to reduce the spread of content that is spammy, sensational, misleading in order to promote more meaningful and authentic conversation on Facebook. Okay, so that's what they're going to do. You ask, you shall be demoted. All right? All right, I got to hurry up. I'm going to run out of time tonight. Twitter suspended Britain's first leaders, Paul Golding and Jada Fanson, in a massive hate purge. This is on businessinsider.com. So they have been purging accounts affiliated with hate groups on our office platform and suspended the two leaders of Britain First. I don't know anything about these two guys, or this man and this woman. I have no idea what their story is. And why they were suspended. Britain First is a far-right organization that regularly pushes xenophobic, anti-Islam, and racist messages. So they got the boot. They'll be back with a new account. UK's asked Amazon eBay to ban tiny prison phones. Justice Secretary David Lidington called on Amazon, eBay, and Gumtree to block all sales of miniature phones. These tiny handsets, often less than 8 centimeters long, can be bought for £25 online and easily smuggled into prisons. Many are advertised with the slogan, "Beat the Boss," a reference to the body orifice security scanner. Boss used by prison officials to detect knives, firearms, components, and other small metallic objects. So, I've never seen one of these things. A miniature phone? 8 centimeters? That's tiny. And they really work? Huh. Wow. All right. Well, link will be up in the show notes. Amazon's Digital Day is returning on December 29th. Not like you've already spent enough money over Christmas. They're going to want you to have a big shopping event on the 29th after all of our credit cards have been hammered. Really? Is this smart to have a Digital Day on the 29th? Come on now. Game of Thrones Season 8 will be bigger than ever. So a little information. Looks like they're expanding the plot or something. It's a lot. It's just bigger than it's ever been. And so I guess they're going to be doing a lot of shooting over the next year. Richard Branson is now the Virgin Hyperloop One's new chairman. So earlier this month, Shervin Pishavar took a leave of absence from company and his venture capital firm Sherpa Capital following allegations of sexual harassment, and Richard Branson has taken over the helm. Apple's caught up on iPhone 10 demand, so you can get one pretty quick now. They're in stock in many Apple stores, so if you've been holding out to get one, you can. Guess apparently there was a 9-year-old who basically he had the opportunity to get the Xbox One for Christmas, but decided to give it up in exchange for purchasing over 60 blankets for the homeless. And the blankets were distributed to the homeless. He had a personal message from them, which he said, "Today I live in my own house, and someday you will too." And those were notes that they passed out with the blankets. Well, Microsoft heard about it, and they held a little party for him. And of course, it included an Xbox One and 2 bags of gifts. So this 9-year-old, his good deed was paid back in full by the nice folks at Microsoft. Nice to hear these kinds of stories. We should hear these not only during the holidays, but the rest of the time. Bloomberg's TikTok 24/7 news channel launches as Twitter doubles down on live video. So, riding this mini momentum, the company will today launch a new experiment to leverage its growth in live video, a segment that's arguably been one of its biggest recent successes. Starting at AM on East Coast, Bloomberg began broadcasting TikTok, a 24/7 news channel that exists solely on Twitter. Has anybody seen any of these videos or articles? I have not. Kaspersky, yes, the Russian software company, has sued the United States government over federal ban. President Trump recently signed a defense policy bill, which included a formal ban on Kaspersky antivirus software. The complete federal ban followed a warning to U.S. federal agencies earlier this year to not use the software on their computers. Kaspersky did say that it was considering options to fight the ban. The company has now sued the U.S. government over the federal ban imposed on its software. Well, good luck with that. Yes, good luck with that. You got caught, apparently, doing something you shouldn't do. And you admitted that you got a hold of some stuff that you shouldn't have had, with stuff calling back home to mama. So now you're going to be put in the penalty box. All right, some stuff that's out there. $7 digital tire gauge, must have for every vehicle. This was a little last Christmas shopping stuff if you're looking for a stocking stuffer. Also, grab the wireless Yi home camera for $20. It's better to get a little security than none. $20. It's 720 HD with a 111-degree wide angle lens. It can also zoom up to 4 times. And it has a support for a 32 gig micro SD card. So very, very cool. Huh. And you can initiate a two-way conversation with its built. It's compared to like the Nest cameras. I'd love to see the difference in quality on those and how they look. Verizon is selling the 3rd generation Nest for $180. So if you are looking to pick up a new thermostat, you can do that via Verizon for a little bit of a discount. Oh, I think I've gotten to the end. Awesome. All right. So here's the deal. I think we've got some emails that have came in. And also, I was informed that Leo Laporte is doing some sort of sign off on his show that he's copied from this show. Now, for literally 1,248 episodes, I have signed off this show by saying aloha. And Michael Dare, one of our super Ohana, said that he was listening to Leo Laporte and he was using my signature sign off. He provided a link. There's a little MP3 on it. And I was like, is Leo listening? Leo, are you listening to the show? Have you been out in the islands and just got some aloha spirit or what? But Michael Dare, thank you for the heads up on that one. That was a good catch. I very rarely listen to Leo. Don't have time. Randy, thank you for sending me the information on the Pentagon secret search for UFOs. A bunch of you did that. Henry, most of the email that came in was Henry and Gary both sent information about there's been a development in my, it would be my cousin's kids. So my second cousins, or is that the right? Second cousins. You know, we've had boys missing since 2010. It's hard to believe it's been 7 years. And they're in Missouri, Missouri. The police there found the remains of what appears to be 3 children, and they roughly match the ages of the Skelton boys. There's nothing remotely related. There's no indication that where these bones were found or where these skeletons were found that there was any type of tie-in to the father who's in jail, and all this. So it's now they're doing the DNA thing, and it's a waiting game. My cousin had to change her telephone number. She got bombarded by the news industry, media, banging on her door. It just was, open up those old wounds again. So we'll know, and we'll keep you guys informed on what's going on there. But those of you that are got your ears to the ground there, you beat my family. Well, about the same time, my family sent out a notification. Henry and Carrie, you guys emailed me within like literally minutes of each other. So for muchos gracias there for sending me the links over. I do appreciate it. Okay, so we'll have a show on Thursday, regular show maybe, and I might actually do a daytime show. Might do one early because I've got an opportunity to go to a little Christmas party on Thursday. So maybe I'll kick the show out early. So Kirk, if you have time to get the show notes out a little earlier on Thursday, that would be great. I'll be emailing you, of course, or the show prep done a little early. That way I can get done and get out of here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it with all the things going on with my kids, but we'll see. But everyone, thanks for being here. If you got comments on today's show, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. And love to hear comments on the UFO stuff. And definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. But are we alone or are we not? We don't know. Thank you for supporting the sponsor. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha.